Hello and welcome to Cromford Cars. This is the next video in our series Tricks of the Trade. What we have here is a bonnet on a used car that's quite badly stone chipped. We need to get some paint into those chips to stop any corrosion in the future, but also we need to improve the cosmetic look of the car so that it's more appealing when somebody wants to buy the car. First job we need to do is to get some paint into those chips and make sure you get the right colour code. We always buy the colour code, have it mixed up specially. And then what we're looking to do is fill every single one of those chips. And we're going to really fill them quite full. So it's not a question of just trying to make the job look finished when we put the paint in. We're filling the paint in. We're going to then smooth the paint down afterwards. But first of all, make sure you get every single one of those chips. And make sure you get plenty of paint in there as well. We don't want to sort of get a smooth covering. We want to get a very, very full covering. Up here you can see it's quite badly chipped, and every single little one. Some of them are quite big and some of them are very slight, but every single chip needs to be filled with paint. Once we've done that, you'll see that the finished result is not much better than originally. We've got a case of measles almost when you look at the car now. So we let that dry completely as we have here. And then now what we need to do is blend those chip paints, or the paint in those chips, back into the paint on the car already. And we're going to use wet and dry sandpaper. This a 1500 grade, 1500 grade is the toughest grade you can really use. And then letting the sandpaper do the work, dip it in water and then smooth over those chips. And all you're doing is taking the raised paint in the chip back to the level of the paintwork on the bonnet or on the panel that you're sanding. Taking it easy, don't push hard, allow the sandpaper to do the work. Make sure you keep it nice and wet. Don't allow it to dry out. We don't want any excessive scratching on the bonnet. What this will do, it will dull the bonnet or dull the paintwork that we're working on, blend in the paint that we've put into the chip back to the level of the panel we're working on. Make sure you don't go too far, don't get carried away. Just keep stopping and checking, making sure. We don't want to go through the paint and then end up having to respray the bonnet. Just speeded this up here, I don't want to bore you too much. We then need to go over the whole bonnet, every single chip, right the way across the car, making sure that every chip has been flattened back to the level of the panel. I don't normally work this fast, I must say. Now on the once that's done, we then need to clean it all back. Now what we're doing, we're going over it with a 3000 grade sandpaper. And the reason we're doing this is to bring those 1500 scratches back to a 3000 scratch, which is when we're polishing this back, because it's going to leave the bonnet very, very dull from where we've sanded it across, as you can see here. But the 3000 scratches are easier to polish back than the 1500 scratches that are put into the paintwork. As you can see, this looks awful, but what we're looking at is those chips have been blended into the paint as that was already there. So then we need to polish that back. We need to bring the shine back to this panel now, and we use a product called Raw. It's the first one is a high cut, extreme cut 610 Raw is the one we use. It's a little expensive, but we find it very, very good. I'm cheating. I'm using a machine polisher, but you might not find you have a bonnet that badly chipped. It might be just a couple of chips in the corner, in which case you're going to put a few chips in, and you can do this by hand. When you are polishing, you are using the polish to create heat and cutting. And the heat that's generated from your polishing action and the cutting action of the polish will allow the paints on the chip and the panel itself to blend. This was the first stage, it's the extreme cut. Now what we need to do is give it a nice finish. So we're going to use a more of a finishing cut. This is raw 620, a little kinder. We're using a softer polishing bonnet as well. Now what this will do is smooth all of the polish marks that we created with the extreme cut. And what we're looking for now is a really nice high gloss finish. Now there's a couple of benefits of doing the repair this way. First one is obviously it's a lot more cost effective, but secondly we've got a bonnet here which has got paint on there that's been there for 6, 7, 8 years. If we resprayed that, it would be brand new, fresh, thick paint on the bonnet, but the rest of the car would have that same 6, 7, 8 year old paint, and it does look quite odd when you've got this brand new paint against the worn and weathered paint. By doing it this way, what happens is we keep that authenticity of the original paint, but then also make sure there's paint there to stop corrosion, and also making sure that the car looks nice and bright as well. And now we can have a look at the finished result. We can see, I think that's very, very acceptable. And the new owner will be more than pleased, I'm sure. If you are watching this video on YouTube and you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and get more tips and tricks of the trade. And if you have any issues that you've come across that you'd like to find an answer for, then leave a comment in the comment section and we'll do our best to make a video and reply.